Clemson will be taking on Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. Trevor Lawrence will lead the way, of course, for the Tigers. Freshman phenom has thrown for almost 2,500 yards and 22 touchdowns while protecting the football, just 4 interceptions on the season. The Irish, though, they've got a pretty good quarterback of their own in Ian Book. He's got similar numbers to his Clemson counterpart, completing over 70% of his passes this year while throwing just 6 picks. This is the first time that Notre Dame has finished the regular season unbeaten since 2012, and we all remember what happened in 2012. I'm sorry to bring it up, but I had to. So here's how the two teams stack up going into the Cotton Bowl. The Tigers are led by that All-American defense, Clelin Ferrell, Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, just to name a few of those guys. Clemson is favored by 11.5 as lines open up early on that matchup. Kristen Balboni here in the stadium studio, joined by Michael Felder to talk about the Cotton Bowl. Initial reactions to this Notre Dame-Clemson matchup.
I love this game. Like, I absolutely love it. I think that obviously Notre Dame, you mentioned 2012, everyone is stuck. Like, that's a cemented block in people's minds.
Of course.
But the reality is this team's way better. I think they learned from what happened to them in 2012, and they've improved in terms of recruiting, in terms of strength and conditioning. So I think what we have here looks like a ball game. And we've got a game where Notre Dame defense is going to come out and make some plays. They're going to be tasked with trying to score against this Clemson defense. And I think that's where we get into the Ian Book, Dexter Williams discussion, because they got to find ways to generate points against this ferocious Clemson front.
Let's talk about that. How do they move the ball? Who is the guy? Is it Ian Book? Like, who do they rely on to say, all right, you got to get this ball down the field and you got to score? And we know it's not going to be easy, but we are putting this on you.
Well, I think Dexter Williams is the first guy. He is someone that is dynamic, that's energetic, that can run. He's got great vision, the ability to find space. And listen, let's not pretend like Notre Dame's offensive line is just a bunch of Joe Schmoes out there. Those guys are really good. So they've got to find ways to generate space for him to pick up big yardage. I think that's going to be the most interesting piece of this puzzle, is that offensive line working with him. But I love Dexter Williams and what he does. Like, this is a guy that we see him there, not afraid to be a little physical, but when you give him a crease, he's going to go the distance. And I think that's going to be the interesting part, is how not just the defensive front, but how Trey Lamar, how Tanner Muse, how those guys make their fits against a very shifty guy in Dexter Williams, where you see right there, you missed that run fit by just, by a foot, and all of a sudden he's out the gate, and it's 88, baby. So I'm looking forward to watching him run, and then obviously you throw in Ian Book, and they've got the opportunity to spread the football around. Brent Venables knows. I think he recognizes more than like the casual. Obviously, he recognizes more than the casual fan. But
We would hope that he does.
But I think he,
or else they're going to be in trouble.
But I think he recognizes how dangerous this team from Notre Dame can be, and I think they're going to treat them with the respect that this opponent deserves.
Speaking of how dangerous they can be, I mean, we've been talking about Clemson's defense, of course, but Notre Dame's defense is not too shabby either, and they're going up against a freshman quarterback. Do you think that they can find ways to exploit that to make Trevor Lawrence feel like a freshman?
Yeah, we saw Trevor Lawrence. Like, this is the biggest thing about talking about Trevor Lawrence to me, is we've seen him make mistakes. And it seems like nobody wants to talk about it, nobody wants to bring it up, because they just want to assume that this guy is like just manna from heaven. Like, this guy makes mistakes, and I think with Notre Dame, they are going to get the job done. I think when you look at them, and we talk about Jerry Tillery, who's completely redesigned, basically re-engineered his entire body to become a guy that's a pass rusher and gets penetration.
Whenever you say that, I just think of someone just in a lab, just like,
that's what he looks like. He looks like someone's really, really well done science project. So you throw in Julian Okwara. He's from the crib, like he's from North Carolina, who gets to the quarterback. Tevon Coney, like the big thing for me when I think about this Notre Dame team, because everyone immediately goes to 2012 and what's the difference? I'm going to tell you what the difference is. We have a team that subbed out Lewis Nix for Jerry Tillery, a freak athlete. We had a team that subbed out Manti Te'o for Tevon Coney, like just great speed at the linebacker spot. We got a team that subbed out Zeke Mata for Alohi Gilman. Alohi Gilman's the best addition to a college football team in the entire country, and he makes big time plays. And then we also know they've got Julian Love. So I look at this team and I think that they are going to try to work some disguises. They're going to disguise their coverages. They're going to show different looks. They're going to blitz from depth. And I think those are things we've seen consistently. Blitzing from depth from the weak side give Trevor Lawrence issues. And I think that they can do some of those things to slow down Clemson and find ways give their offense back the football so they have an opportunity to score.
Well, I'm certainly hoping for a good game. I know you think this is going to be a close one, but right now Clemson is a double-digit favorite on the point spread. So to get an official prediction on this game, it's time to send it back over to our college football insider, Brett McMurphy. Brett, who you got in this one?
I got to go with Clemson. I think they're too balanced for Notre Dame. They have a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense. Notre Dame has had 6 games decided by 10 points or less this year. Clemson only 2. And when you look at Clemson, since Trevor Lawrence returned from his injury, they are averaging 50 points a game on offense. I think they're too strong. Ian Book has done a remarkable job since taking over earlier in the year for Notre Dame. But I think this Clemson team is too balanced. I picked them before the year to win the national championship. I'm sticking with it. I think Clemson plays Alabama in the championship game in Santa Clara.